Je vais commencer en français, donc bonjour à tous, bonjour ou bonsoir, bonne soirée. On est 2 jours après l'Oreo Range Day. Donc on est ici à l'ACTC, c'est le centre d'entraînement, donc Aero Concept Training Center, c'est le centre d'entraînement privé donc de Rick, de l'équipe d'Achilles Heel Tactical. Il nous fait l'honneur de nous accorder un petit peu de temps de manière à pouvoir échanger avec lui un petit peu sur la genèse, l'histoire un petit peu de sa société, les choses qu'il propose aujourd'hui. So first, Rick,
yes.
Thank you for your time. I just started already in French, but we are 2 days after this awesome but exhausting event.
Yes.
How do you feel?
Exhausted.
Exhausted, yeah. Obviously.
Yeah, it was a successful event. I love this year. It was.
Yeah. Is there something special this year?
For sure. There was a lot of things special this year. We have a lot of attention with this event. We bring people from all around the world, and it's amazing to see everyone that's coming to one location to have some greater purpose than other than just, you know, gun culture and training culture and the community to come together as one. But this year was a really good year for raising awareness of, like, for Sentinel Foundation's mission of the child exploitation, human trafficking, and all of that. It was one of those years that when myself and my team were looking at what we have here, looking at what we could take it to and how we could make a difference that would not be in any way, shape, or form selfish to the brand. So it was a really good year. This was one of the easiest years running for the 3-day event. I was caught many times. People were asking, you know, or telling my wife, saying that they're seeing me smile a lot more at this event than any other event in years past. Yeah.
The energy, the vibe was not the same.
No, it was amazing.
And can you just remind us how many trainees did you bring this year? How many trainers? Just the size of the event?
Yeah, so over the 3 days, we had 250 attendees training with 12 different trainers from all around the world. So we had your company, your training staff come in and teach their class to, you had over 50, 50 students, like 25 each day. So it was really cool, and all of those students were, you know, foreign for us over in Europe, but for you right in the backyard. But it was at one location that they could get kind of the mixture of both. So some may have not trained with you that trained with you in the States, and then obviously for all the guys and gals in the States that got to train with you, it's just a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, well, definitely a good thing. Just take a few steps back, but can you first introduce yourself regarding who you are back in the time, maybe your professional background before already Achilles Heel Tactical already exists?
Yeah, so I went into the military and was an infantry Marine, and then went the scout sniper route, became a sniper, doing long range precision, and after 3 deployments I had missed over 1.5 years of my daughter's life, and I had to get out. Yeah. So I got out in 2017 and decided that the only thing I could relate to and provide a life for my family with and doing is in law enforcement. So I continued to serve, and Chris and I were talking about it earlier, that law enforcement gave me that sense of drive, duty, and purpose, but still gave me the stability that I had in the military, but now outside of the military, to kind of give me a crawl, walk, run, for lack of better terms, to real life. Yeah. So while I was sitting in the police academy, I was like, I can't do this for too long. Yeah. So I started a training company by Googling how to start a business.
So when it's happened?
Yeah.
When are you studying?
2017.
2017.
Yeah. So I Googled how to start a business while I was in the academy. I Googled how to start a website. I Googled everything, and I did
from scratch.
From scratch, yeah.
Fine. So, and what was the beginning? What was the beginning for the company?
Yeah, the beginning of the company was 2017.
Yeah, it was rough, it was hard, or you just feel all the course quite easily?
So I didn't really know where to go, how to start. I remember opening the bank account and seeing what my credit limit would be. It was $3,000. Yeah. And I remember telling my wife and everyone that, hey, we're just we'll print merch, we'll pay our range fees, and I'll start these 4-hour clinics, and we'll do a paper sheet. There was a range that opened up locally near the Football Hall of Fame in Ohio, in Canton. And I said, well, that's a good place to start. Let's start there. And I went in, I met the guys. I said, this is what I did in the military. I'm currently in the police academy. This is what I would actually like to do for a living. And they said, hey, you can have 4 hours before we open. And if you can fill the roster, and this is going to be your range fee. If you're okay with that, we'll open for you. And they gave me my first shot. And back then, I just had a paper roster. It said Achilles Tactics Open Range Days. And it was kind of the start of the range days. So it was essentially just 4 hours of me seeing if I could run civilians, law enforcement, and military guys, run them through an orchestrated drill session that turned into me finding out that I absolutely loved to teach. I loved to see the light bulbs go off in students' faces. And then it came to the adult learning theories, and there was a challenge for me. I have no formal teaching background other than foreign and domestic training within my military units as well as other military units. And I really found a lot of sense of purpose and belonging in that space. So now that I was doing it with my own brand attached to it, my own reputation, all the words that were leaving my mouth, these guys were taking, and then the word of mouth started to spread. And next thing I know, I've got guys asking, can you come to California? I'm like, Ohio to California, that's a big jump.
Yeah.
So in 2018, I started traveling, and then it picked up 2019. And and that's ORD started in 2018 with 25 dudes and a pizza.
2018?
And then it turned into 2019, it was 30 guys and me, to 2020 turning into 2 guys, and over 2 days, 60 guys. 21 turned into multiple instructors over the 2 days. It wasn't until 24 that we started the 3-day model. So last year we started the 3-day model. But yeah, it's been from just, hey, we're gonna provide training. It's gonna be fully catered with food. It turns into like experiences, like the aerial experience. Guys have never shot out of helicopters, and I found a pilot that would allow us to shoot out of the helicopter, and that turned into a lot of fun. To the maritime experience now, it's pretty cool that we have developed this to give a world-class experience. And this year we've had guys from all over Europe. It was from 9 different countries. And the German that was at the European tour, he came out. It was so cool to see his face. And he was just happier than ever to live the American dream. Like, it was so cool. He was staying in Cleveland, and he Ubered there back and forth every single day. And that's over $100 easy, maybe $200 easy Uber trip just to get there and then to get back. And he was totally happy to pay it just so that he could belong and be a part of and get the full experience. Yeah, it was so wild. Yeah.
And aside to the ORD, actually, what's the main purpose of AHE, the company? Because the company grows really quick, as you told us, and you bring some other trainer also in the team right now, like Paul, like Shane right now. So how many? What's the structure, or what the size of the training team actually for you?
Yeah, so it was just myself all the way until really 2023, until we had a fortified secondary asset to the training staff. Paul Costa was the first addition, but he started with me as a student back in 2020. I met him and his unit up in New Jersey, and we had conducted some training. He really resonated with the type of training that I was providing and said it was definitely a cut above the standard that he's seen from tier 1 guys getting out and now turning into training companies, or just what the state, the federal government would offer. I had a different approach. It was a more in-depth questioning the why approach. So he liked it to a point where he was like coming to Ohio to do one-on-ones and learn how to teach. And I said, you know what, I'm not going to teach you how to teach without giving you an opportunity to teach for this brand, because at this point, 2020 to 2023, I've known him for 3 years. He's been really a major part of the student body that I was seeing, and I knew he had something that was rare, which is he had a determination factor that I didn't have. And I asked him about it one day. I said, how are you such a determined individual? You know, I'm determined, but I'm also naturally gifted at certain things, and I pick things up fairly quick. he's the exact opposite of me, where he doesn't have that ability to be naturally gifted at something, or he wasn't naturally, he always had to work hard to build a skill in anything. And his persistence and determination was something that I was like, this is a good key characteristic that I cannot teach. And because he has that, I already know his work ethic's going to be solid. I already know he's going to be always pursuing excellence within his shooting ability, his teaching ability. And so I brought him on, and we reworked a business model that would grow and scale. And then we brought on David Acosta, and now we brought on Shane, and we're bringing on a couple new guys and possibly a new gal, which is phenomenal to the training brand. And we're now scattered all across America, which is something that's going to be interesting in the future of 10 years, 20 years from now, because then we will own a market here in the States that it's going to be very hard to compete with, because we will have excellent trainers, A-list trainers that will always continue to develop the curriculum. This is something that Paul and I have always looked at as a team effort, can go so much farther, so much faster, because I'm only good at so many things. He's good at certain other things. Dave's also good at certain other things, and Shane's brought a lot of value to the brand, and others will bring more value to the brand, and we will continue to evolve and develop curriculum that you can't just come up with within your own lifetime's experience.
No, definitely.
You have to use multiple lifetimes to build what we're building. Yeah. So that's it in a nutshell. Very, very quick version.
Yeah. And what's your thought or your feeling regarding this specific market, or the specific area of this industry, the private training aspect?
Yeah. So here in the States, it's heavily certifying culture. So like the federal government down to the local municipalities, down to the civilian. If you give them a license or you give them a piece of paper that says you're certified, they believe that they are now responsible enough to carry a firearm. They have no clue on how to actually use it and how it's going to be performed on demand and what's going to be asked of them push come to shove. So what the private sector has now been very highly recognized for is that we don't certify, we qualify. We get the guys to be proficient, and we test their skill sets, and we push them and teach them new training frameworks that they can use and adopt. And then, they come to a class for 8 hours, you leave, you've got a year's worth of homework that you need to go and work on. And we employ that mentality behind our students, so they don't think like, after 8 hours, I'm going to be you. Right? It's 8 hours, and then I'm going to have tons of homework. And then once I've gotten the homework down where I can literally close my eyes and I know exactly where I'm weak, where I'm strong, what I need to continue to work on. And then once I've gotten to a point where I now know where I need to go forward, or no longer am I getting what I need from this brand, I can now go to the next. And this is why ORD is so great, because we bring like-minded minds from around the world to one place where you can now test these theories. You can get an insight to what you guys are doing over in Europe. You can get an insight to all different skill sets that we're building at one location. So that's also a huge difference with Europe, definitely. Definitely. And regarding the international aspect, so just to remind everyone, I make my first submission in 2021. So I've been selected in 2021, but because of the COVID travel ban, we are not allowed to come in US in 2021. So we come in 2022 as probably first international attendees for the URD. What's your thought regarding the international traction the ORD can get right now? I don't think we could have reached the amount of people that we have without you, because we had one other international attendee besides the Chimera team, and a couple guys from Italy that came in 2022 as well. And then after that, it was like we dropped a snowflake on the top of a mountain that turned into a snowball, and now it's starting to become an avalanche where we have people coming from Europe and countries and stuff, and also the European tour when you hosted me in 2023, and we got to travel around Europe and kind of showcase what the brand was, but not in its entirety until you come over here, and this is where you can really see it. That was a really cool opportunity for not just myself and my team, but also just for the Europeans that have seen me witness the videos, but now got to see it and do the curriculum in person, see the different, all the different thought processes that we might have. I think that with you guys coming and then others now trickling in, I think the exposure of international travel with weapons or even without, a lot of rentals go out at ORD thanks to our vendors and sponsors. So I think now that people are seeing that, hey, we can get the training that maybe we can't receive over there, or there's no way we could comprise all the different talent and trainers in Europe like they can in the United States. So if we could come and make it one priority for training be ORD, I think the guys get a ton from it, but you've been instrumental with being able to showcase to Europe that it's doable to travel from Europe to the States with guns or without, get the training, go back, take it to units that are going to benefit from it. Because you guys, no different than when I was in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, the guys, they don't have a shooting culture.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So because there's no shooting culture in Europe outside of sport,
shooting
and hunting, nothing practical to the law enforcement officer, nothing practical to the military service member, but to get the different heads of training together in one place and then be able to take it back there. There's just so much more theory and growth that comes from that, and evolution that comes from great minds that are over in Europe to come here, get exposure to new things, and then go back and then just get to work on writing theories down, testing theories, shooting it, and then meeting the contacts that they get at ORD to just reach out to myself and reach out to the other trainers and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking for this unit, this GIGN unit. Will this be applicable? Or am I explaining this correctly in the way that I learned it?
Yeah, definitely.
It's very fascinating.
This is initially, we attend the ORD first as a student, as a trainee, and we are definitely convinced about what you can learn, what you can bring back in Europe from this specific kind of event. We are super familiar with training in the US with Mark Eckenberg from First Defense, with the complete centrifuge training team. So we are in the US pretty often, but this specific event, and I'm not talking about this kind of event, but this specific event just brings so many top tier trainer and so many high quality student or high quality trainee in the same moment, same place, that it definitely worth the organization and the logistical cost, etc. And this is why also in Europe we try to educate people regarding the way you can fly in US with your own material. We definitely know that initially it can be something a little bit scary to fly in with the guns, etc. But at the end of the day, it's just some paperwork to do, and it's quite easy. So, what's your vision for the future regarding the ORD? What's your plan?
There's lots of different ideas that we have. The ones that we'll be immediately executing on for 2026 or 2027 is we're looking to get more eyes on, but keep the exclusiveness to the event for the attendees. These attendees, they work so hard to get selected.
To being here.
As you know, there's SEALs, there's all kinds of guys that have done amazing things for our country or other countries that don't get selected for this event because they think that their resume in GWAT, Global War on Terror, will get them a place. And it's like, Global War on Terror ended quite some time ago. What have you done since? And it's not the fact that you haven't done anything since, because there's a lot of recovery period, and I understand, after separating out of the military, that adjustment period. But we want to see safe, confident, and competent individuals with firearms walking around the event. And there's guys that apply every single year, do not get selected, and then all of a sudden I see on the next year they get it. They understand, because the next year their application says, I've been shooting X amount of matches each quarter, or I've been taking these amount of classes. These are now my references because I didn't have any references last year. These are now the instructors that you can call up and reference. So it's very cool that even on your students' applications that came in this year, they would reference the classes they took with your company over in Europe. And I already know that if they're taking classes with you, they're not of an ignorant mind. They're doing a lot of due diligence and work to find you, to locate your training cadre, and then do a lot of work with you. So I know that you're not in Europe, especially in Europe. So it's very fascinating to see the applications evolve over the years, because a lot of people think that, you know, all of this, back what I did in the military, all of this, what I did in law enforcement currently is going to get them in, and that's not the case, because the level of and the pedigree of shooter that we're seeing in these applications, it only goes up. No different than the competitiveness in USPSA and IPSC. It only goes one direction, and that's up, because of the competitive nature of humans. And because of the competitive nature of the applicants, it only raises the bar and the standard. This is why every single year it gets better and better. The students that are standing in front of you, listening to you, and you're teaching, and then they're shooting, their skills only go up. And it's really a powerful thing, because there's not a single event in the United States that selects their audience or their customer base. I get to select all of the individuals that are there. I find that as like a very humbling, and I'm very grateful for the demand that's been created, but I know it doesn't come from the hard work of myself, my wife, my team, but also the hard work of the trainers we bring in, the vendors we bring in, and then also the attendees in years past. They have to do a lot of work to continue to get selected. There's attendees that have been coming to this event for over 5 years. The reason I continue to select them isn't because they're just a homie. They're not just a friend. It's just because they are good people, right? It's hard to vet good people. You could have tons of training, and you could be congruent within your training and very consistent and relative in time. But if you're a piece of shit, I don't want you there.
Absolutely.
So it's like, my wife and people were coming up to my wife and asking her, they were like, how do you guys get so much good people in one place? And we said,
we select them.
And they were like, well, how do you not know that they're not this? And I said, well, it's very hard to tell that from white and black application. It's just it's a gut feeling that I have. It's if you are around people constantly and consistently training, and you're willing to put in the effort, pay the price to be there. And I'm not talking about just money. I'm talking about just the time and the commitment. You got to have a lot of grit. You got to have a lot of work ethic. And I don't know too many criminals that have around other good people the same qualities that we're finding and we're vetting out. So, and it's not rocket science. I don't have any kind of psychological background of you know, people have asked me, they're like, how did you come up with the man card drill? It's such a diabolical drill. You had to have had some kind of like background in the way that, you know, just brain mapping or any kind of, I was like, no, it's just, this is a drill that I thought was challenging, and then it would be of challenge that would be of something that every single person can obtain, but can you obtain it when all the pressure's on you, when everyone's watching you, when I'm telling you, let's go second attempt, and then I'm rushing you to get into that next iteration, that next attempt. It's not on your accord. I'm asking and demanding of those fundamentals to be performed now. And if you can't do it, you fail. And it's like you've seen it time and time again. People train till they cannot get it wrong, up until the point they're pressure tested. And the cool thing about a simple drill like that, the pressure testing is in person. There's no pressure testing abroad. There's no virtual pressure testing that can be done. And it's the same thing with the attendees. There's people that will come, they won't have it in them, and I won't select them anymore. Because if you're coming and you're there for Friday, you get the mag dump out of your system, you got all this adrenaline rush, but you don't have it in you to wake up and show up on time on Saturday and then continue with the event, it's like you're gone. Like I take head counts. I can't have, there's too many people wanting to be a part of this event. I can't have somebody who's half pregnant at the event. There's no such thing, right?
Absolutely. And back in 2023, when we bring you and your team in Europe, some of the European training get a chance to test it in real under pressure. And we really enjoyed having you and your team in Europe. I think we get a bunch of awesome feedback regarding this opportunity, and as I told to maybe a few of them, we already plan to do it again in 2025. Our boss schedule was so tight for this year. It was a bit quite hard to organize, but we definitely think about it for 2026, and I finger crossed.
So I gave it a lot of thought with adding years between visits, and I think there's a ton of value. It's no different than the Olympics. Why it's every 4 years is because things evolve and change, but not overnight. Yeah. Right. So like the curriculum, the skill set that I'm building, and my team continues to build and develop. It doesn't change overnight, but it has drastically changed since 2023.
For sure.
So in 2 years, great. In 3 years, even better. Right? So it's very exciting. There's no real correct way of doing it. There's no secret recipe. It's just the time is something that is needed. It's necessary to make it even more sought after, right?
Yeah, but it was really a good event, a good opportunity to bring you in Europe. And side to this, we are so honored to be here as a trainer for the second time this year. Yeah. And can I ask you what the general feedback you received from the guy who attended the Chimera course this year and the previous year?
Yeah, so all the guys love the way that your teaching style, the team you bring every year. Yeah. They absolutely love it. Every year they've said your English continues to improve, so that always
working on it.
I mean, I go over to France and I know zero French. Yeah. And you don't see me learning French to be better when I go over to France. It's because, and it's just.
Maybe you work on a surprise. Maybe we can be surprised. Not really.
We'll see what we can do in like 8 months. But yeah, the work ethic that they see from you is why they love to take it again, right? Yeah. Also, you came last year and taught a different class, correct? Yeah. So it's very cool how they see you use the reaction timing from the visual stimuli of the blaze pods, and talking about how Formula One drivers, and using that analogy, because every single person drives, has learned how to drive and has developed a skill set with a car or any kind of vehicle. And using analogies such as that is that common hook of relation that we talk about when we're trying to develop and teach how to teach and be good trainers, because this is no different than here in the States. I'm sure it's over in Europe. Nobody is teaching how to teach better than just, no one can teach you how to teach better than you. You have to be first self-aware and derive and pick out the ways you learn things, and then develop curriculum based off that. Only the people that learn like you will first be bought in. And then you learn how others learn. And then you figure out, okay, we have to find common hooks of relation and use those analogies that others can relate to, because shooting is a skill that we have developed to a second nature, where we just pick up a gun, we don't think about fundamentals, we apply fundamentals. But these guys are starting to learn fundamentals, so no different than driving. They had to learn a skill set comprised around principles and fundamentals. So now every time they start their vehicle and they put it in drive, fundamentals are applied, they're never thought about. But because they have 30 years of doing it, no different than swiping and clicking on the internet with the mouse, a keyboard, and then a monitor, it's because they have so many just micro exposures daily to the skill set that they've learned and then are continuously developing. We do that with shooting, but nobody else does. And of the skill set, even as an armed professional in the military and in law enforcement, they're not doing it on a daily basis to a point where they're constantly building a relationship and becoming self-aware behind guns. This is something that every student has said that you're very, very talented at at building, and they never would have considered that someone over in Europe would be able to find those same relating points. The curriculum that you guys are teaching is fresh, it's new. When I was going up the different bays and I'm looking at the rifle or the pistol classes, there was guys that said, hey, what Paul was teaching Joel Park in the practical shooting community is very in tune with this, but then what these guys are teaching may be different, and I want different. That's the thing that they're seeking at this event, is like they want the exposure to what else is out there, because they're constantly being fed whatever the algorithm feeds them, or whatever they can, in their own minds, think of what to search next.
Yeah.
You bring a new, fresh approach where they're now like sitting back and they're like, finally. Right? Yeah. This is something that I can now go on Amazon, find blaze pods, buy them, and then start working a different stimuli other than audible.
Yeah.
Right? The visual and understanding your imagination is the only thing that limits you. Every time that color changes and the sequence they change, you can derive and come up with tons of drills to build skill sets around practical response times, and then the mechanics. Then the fundamentals become applied, because the task and focus of the eyes and the brain is elsewhere. Yeah. The eyes pick up information, the brain tells the body then what to do with that information. And I love the blaze pods because it's very natural. We're constantly, if I walk through a mall or I walk through a parking lot, I'm picking up information, my brain's telling my body what to then do with that information. And then now I'm on the range doing it. And that's something that here in the States has not been explored to a high level. And what you guys are teaching is coming from a high level, and it's coming from a very practical standpoint in which the law enforcement guys are loving it, the military guys are loving it, and the civilians here in the States, because we do have a very developed shooting culture, are loving it. Yeah. It's a very fresh approach.
Glad to hear that. Yes. We try our best to keep evolving and keep updating the material we teach. In Europe, in France and Europe as well, but also about what we bring in during this kind of event. And finally, just to finish, maybe what's your last word for the French or the European guy who want to attend for the 2026 edition? I want to join one of your class or one of the US event-based class like this.
Apply. We love to see it. I think that the more exposure we can have to a global audience, the better. I think that people around the world seeing what we have, which is very unique. It's not in every state. Yeah. This is why so many come from all the states to one state to experience it. What we have going on here is something to absolutely witness, and then take away what you've witnessed, and start developing the cultures that you can impact. Yeah. I've met people from all around the world, not just at ORD, but in my classes, that will come to the States, not even ORD, just come to classes, open enrollment classes, or military law enforcement only classes. And it's like, you travel all the way from wherever you're at in whatever part of the world to this area to train with myself. And it reminds me of, like, not saying I'm in any way, shape, or form like Michael Jordan, but Michael Jordan's phrase of saying, why do I continue to wake up and give my best effort every single day that I stand in front of this audience? It's because one of these people in the audience, whether at ORD or in a class, has saved up and has been watching for years, possibly, right? Definitely. And this one opportunity is the only opportunity that I get to not make a good representation, but give them what they've been longing for, right? Yeah. I suffered with expectation versus reality issues in the military and in law enforcement.
Like everyone, I think.
And in every aspect of my life. And I've always wanted to make sure I provide the reality to the expectation that they have when they meet me. I don't ever want somebody to meet me and be like, oh yeah, he's all right. Or, oh yeah, he didn't really care that I was in the class. I give my best effort and everything I have, my entire heart, to every student I have in a class, whether it's 20 strong or 10 or 3, or the focus is the people that have, because thinking self-aware of like what it would take for me to leave Ohio, go to France, and learn from a company. Like it would take like the effort of moving mountains to get me over there, just to take a class with someone over there. So the fact that they're doing that means the world to me. Yeah. And that's why I think that the application means the world. Every time I see an application, I go over it with all the references with a fine-tooth comb. If you're not immediately selected, I do run through your references. There's some guys that unfortunately are of old training schools of thought that I know will be way behind. And I know like the European Training Center is a big thing over in Europe, but I know that what they're teaching is so far in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like FLETC, or Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, is very outdated. The things that are being taught and the things that they're just certifying, putting checks in a box, that's not us. Yeah. We don't put checks in boxes. We don't just hit one widget and then move on to the next piece of the syllabus. We're looking to, okay, we hit this until we build an understanding with it. Then we continue to cultivate refinement as we, as we add more and more and more. Yeah. So those progressive minds is what we're looking for every time we see a domestic application or a foreign application. We're looking for that, the reason of why. I read every reason of why. And some guys put 2 sentences. I think it's a badass event. Claymont is my best friend. Like, they'll do all kinds of weird shit to get in, but I read the why, and if the why is rooted around what I would say, if I put my mind, I close my eyes and I imagine myself writing the same why. If I can imagine that a good person wrote that because of the amount of effort it takes, the words they use, even if it doesn't make sense, it's not like perfect English. They maybe use ChatGPT or some kind of translator to get the point across. I look at the effort put in, and I know that a good person, like Major Peacock, a guy that I served with, that I had immense amount of respect for as a leader of my company and my unit. He always just looked for good dudes. He said, I can train your skill, I can train everything else, but I can't make you a good dude.
Yeah, you have to be a good human.
So to be a good human is a very rare thing to find in the masses, right? We brought 250 of them together, guys, gals, foreign, domestic, all in one place. And if we didn't, a lot can go wrong. A lot can go wrong. This isn't a music festival where you can have every walk of life that just has the money in their pocket and want to get the experience. Like, a lot can go wrong at a gun event, a training event, with what we do. And I'm not saying everything happens perfectly at these events, but the one thing I don't typically have to worry about are my attendees, are my trainers, and are the vendors. And the vendors are always a key critic to the selection process, because they're used to going to these events where guys just look to grab stuff off their tables, and we carefully curate a roster where I tell them, listen, they probably know more about the guns than you do, or at least the sales guys, or the guys teaching them how to load their Langdon shotguns and their 1301s, Berettas, and all that stuff. So like, when they hand you that shotgun and they see you manipulate it, check on safe, you press checking and making sure it's loaded, you load it up proficiently, and your mechanics are all there and sound, and you're safe with the handling of that weapon system. I think that when they see that and they turn to me, and I'm like, told you, we have very, very professional audience at ORD, and it goes a long way without saying for the foreign audience and the audience that is yours, that is watching, going to watch this. They have to put in an application because it hurts and it costs nothing to receive a no, and then next year put in another application. Because we also watch for that. When I look at 2024 applications and I look at 2025s, there's guys that will repeat applications, and if it's a copy paste, probably not getting selected. But if it's hey, I didn't get selected here, but now I'm going to look at what maybe they're looking for. It takes me back to when I was applying for law enforcement jobs, and I went to this thing called the Pradco, which is like the psychological eval, and I answered everything how I wanted to answer it, and I failed it. Like, I failed miserably. Like, it was easy right off. Like, I passed the written test, written exam, the physical exam, and then it came to the Pradco, which is like this, it's a collective theory of like the personalities that exist at the agency. How well do you fit within that, and gel within that mold? And based off of what I learned from the academy and all these things, like, I answered things exactly with integrity and the things that I would find important at a PD, and I failed it. The next one I took, I answered exactly how the chief would answer it, and I passed. Now, I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form the application process is like that, because I want to know exactly who, and I didn't like the process. So this is what I'm getting at. I want people to answer and to respond and put their reason of why for them to be at this event.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe in the way things were done in my proofing or testing and the periods of like making and developing it as a team and all the psychological variables. I think there's a lot of holes in those. And I think that with our track record, we have proved a lot of really, really good people have been produced at this one location based off of the way they answer the why at the end of the application.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, thank you for the tips.
Yeah.
Most of the tips for the guy who already answered one. And thank you for your trust, by the way.